boys and girls. You guys ready to learn today? All right, so today we're going to do some reading. So before we begin, let's say objective. Good. Do you remember what our objective means? Right, what we're learning about today. So in this lesson, we're going to be learning about comparing and contrasting. Let's read our objective up here on the board. It says, students will understand how to compare and contrast story elements. We did compare and contrasting when we were talking about butterflies and moths. Do you remember what this is called? I used this graphic organizer to help me compare and contrast butterflies and moths. Yes, it's a Venn diagram. That's correct. So today in our lesson, we're going to use that Venn diagram again to help us compare and contrast, but this time stories. I have two stories that I'm going to read to you, and we're going to pay attention to the details in the story, and then we're going to think about things that were similar, like the same, and things that were different in the story, comparing and contrasting. So my two stories are Bird's New Home and A Good Idea. All right, so I'm going to read you these short stories, and then we're going to take a look and think about things that were the same and things that were different in the story. So let's start, boys and girls, with Bird's New Home. Bird wanted a new home. I need some twigs, she said. Vole came along. Vole is a type of little animal. He said, you don't want twigs. Dig a hole like I do. Holes are very cozy. No thanks, said Bird. Vole and Bird did not want the same thing. Fox came along. Fox said, you don't want twigs. You don't want a hole. Find a hollow log, like I do. No thanks, said Bird. Fox and Bird did not want the same things. Bee came along. Make a home with wax, like mine, said Bee. No thanks, said Bird. Bee and Bird did not want the same thing. So far I can tell from the story that Bird wants a new home, and her animal friends are giving her suggestions to make a new home, but she doesn't agree with their suggestions. Bird got 3 twigs. She got 6 twigs. She got more twigs. Bird made her home from twigs. It was very high in a tree. Bird could see all around. It's just what I want, she said. And she was happy in the end, right? Even though her friends were trying to help her, right? Usually that is not how birds live, right? Like in a log or underground, like Vole was saying. So in the end, she solved her problem, right? By making a nest in a tree. All right, let's listen to our second story. This one's called A Good Idea. All right, pay attention to this one and see what happens. See if there's any problems or anything that's similar in the story that you might see. Cricket, Crow, and Owl lived in the forest. I can already see. This story is also about many animals living outside in the forest, just like our other story. It was a good place to live, except for one thing. They all made so much noise that they couldn't hear themselves. One day, the noise was louder than ever, and finally Crow shouted, "Be quiet, everyone! Stop being so rude." "You're the loudest of all," said Cricket. "Me," said Crow. "Everyone is so loud I can't hear my bold caws." "And who can hear my lovely chirp?" said Cricket. "Not me." And who can hear my soft hoots, said Al. Not me. So all the animals were chirping and calling and making hoots that they were sort of like almost talking, right? That's the way they talk, making noises above each other. No one could hear anything. No one could hear each other. The animals agreed they needed new rules. Now this is sort of different. I was just thinking something because in the other story, remember the animals did not agree. In this story, the animals are agreeing, right? They need to solve their problem some way. They need new rules, right? That's how they need to solve their problem. There are too many calls, said Crow. Who will stop calling? Everyone's too loud, said Cricket. Who will decide to whisper? The forest is too small, said Owl. Who will move away? So they were trying to throw out all these suggestions. Are we going to whisper? Is someone going to leave? Nobody liked these rules. Nobody wanted to stop calling or move away. So they're trying to think of ideas, but so far they can't find something that works for everyone. It's no good, said Crow. We must think of something else. The three animals thought and thought. Day turned into night. Sometimes, right, when you go to solve your problem, you just don't solve it right away. You have to think of many solutions and what's best for everybody. I know, said Crow. I will use the day to call. And we will use the night to chirp and hoot, said Cricket and Owl. They all agreed to try it. Oh, so they came to a solution. So Crow said he will call in the day, but the cricket and the owl are going to chirp at night, right? Because usually those animals, right? The owl, like we have baby Echo, right? She's nocturnal. She's usually up at night. Look, it was a good idea. See, the crow is going, caw, caw. And look, those little nocturnal animals, they're sound asleep. I'm glad they solved their problem and they decided to work together to come to a solution that was best for everyone. All right, guys, let's put on those thinking brains and fill out our Venn diagram, okay? All right, so let's think, boys and girls. Let's do the things that were the same. Remember, the middle part of the circles are the things that are the same or alike in the story. Some things that I were thinking about the setting. The setting is where the story takes place. Remember, it took place outside in the forest for both stories. So I'm just going to use bullet points. Remember, bullet points are not full sentences. It's just giving me a clip of a main idea that I'm thinking about. Okay? So I'm going to say setting. And I'm going to say is the forest. Okay? All right. I was also thinking in the story, the characters were animals. Right? So I'm going to say there were animals as characters. I was also thinking there were birds in both of the stories as one of the main characters, right? I'm going to put here the birds, right? Were in both of the stories. Oh, and I'm also going to say at the end, in both stories, they solved their problem. Okay? All right. Let's look at, which one should we do next? Oh, let's do a good idea. Okay, so that was the last story that I read, this one. All right, and let's see some things that we remember about that story. How about this? This was something different. Remember, in this story, they all agreed that they needed a solution. right? They agreed that that was a good solution. And even in the end, they agreed to come up with a solution together, right? That their solution was, right, that Crow was going to call during the day and Cricket and Owl were going to chirp and hoot at night. So they agreed about that. And once again, I'm going to say that in the end, they had the same solution. All right, but in a bird's new home, okay, I'm going to say here that Bird wanted a new home, but did not agree with all his friends' suggestions. Okay, so in here, in a good idea, they were more in agreement about solving their problem together. In this one, I'm also going to say Bird solved the problem alone. So Bird came to his own solution of the problem by making the nest. Even though his friends were trying to help, right, they all couldn't agree on a solution. In a good idea, they worked more together to come up with a solution. These were good stories. I really enjoyed them. And I really enjoyed learning with you guys. So once again, remember, I'm going to attach a page to this lesson. You do not need to print it out, parents, okay? You can just draw your own Venn diagram on a piece of paper. That's fine. Just do the best that you can with the work. Take a picture and send it to me. I'd love to see all your brains growing, and I get so excited when I see your work. Thanks again, boys and girls. Keep working hard, and thank you, parents. I look forward to next time.